Greetings, this is Amy Wentley with Shy Knuckles Knitting, and this is episode 2021-22, the Ebbie Sweater Finishing Left and Right Neckbands. So this is the Ebbie Sweater. I've knit the whole thing. I went ahead and I pinned any potential seams together, and then I blocked it to dimensions before I started doing the seaming. It's a little out of the order of what the pattern says, but I decided I wanted to do it all together that way. So, I'm going to read the instructions in the pattern, which say, with matching sock yarn threaded on tapestry needle, see construction notes. Sew selvage edges of left and right bands together at center back using the side-to-side seaming method. So that's what we're going to do in the video today. And let me zoom in a little bit. Well, one thing first. You want to make sure before you're doing this seaming that you have the right side, the public side of the sweater facing you. So that means you'll see these stockinette bands here, not purl bumps, and this is the back of the garment facing me. And before you get started with the seaming, you're going to want to pin these edges that we're going to seam together. This is the left band and this is the right band. And so you'll want to pin them at a regular interval there so that they're ready to go and they keep you kind of in line and on track as you're seaming. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you. Here we go. Okay, the pattern also says in the construction notes that some knitters have found that they like to use a coordinated sock yarn to do their seaming because dapple, the yarn that this pattern calls for, is a softly spun yarn, and they want to use something stronger. They suggest that if you decide to use dapple, that you add twist to the yarn as you use it. I have decided that I'm going to use dapple to seam primarily because I couldn't find a sock yarn in my stash that matched well enough to this. So that's why I decided to do it. So what you want to do in this case is you'll want to get a piece of yarn, probably, I'm going to use one that's probably about 18 inches long for this little teeny tiny seam here, and I'm cutting this yarn right now. I'm going to want to thread the yarn onto my tapestry needle, and I'm using a big needle here so that you can see it well. You don't necessarily have to use one this big. That's a pretty nice sized needle there. You're going to start out on the bottom right hand side of these two pieces. You're going to come up from the bottom and pull the yarn through, leaving a tail that you can weave in later. You'll come up on the bottom left, and I'm coming right at the edge of that cast on. And you'll come up on the right side again in exactly the same place you came up before. Then hold the tail of your yarn and pull tight, and that is a figure 8 knot. So it's come up, and come up, and then pull. So the next thing that you're going to do is look very closely at the stitch pattern we have here. This is a garter stitch. And I'm going to even zoom in a little closer for you too so you can really see what's going on here. So over here in a garter stitch pattern you can see that there are frowns, I call them. So these are purl bumps that are going upside down like a frown. And then there are purl bumps, like this one, that are going up in a smile like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go from side to side along this seam, and I'm going to go through the frowns on each side. So I'm coming up from here, and I'm going to find a frown that I want to go up. So here is a smile, and here is a frown. I'm going to choose this frown to go up. So I insert my needle from the bottom to the top and pull it through that frown. I can also twist my yarn at this point if I'd like to add the twist like the pattern recommended. Then I'm going to go over to the other side, and I am going to find, here is a frown, here is a smile, here is a frown, and I'm going to put my needle up from underneath that frown and pull my yarn through. Now I'm not going to pull tight yet. I'm going to wait. And I will continue to twist my yarn. If you're using sock yarn, you don't have to worry about doing that. That's only if you're using the dapple to do your seaming. So now I'm going to go back over to the left side, and I'm going to find a smile and a frown. There's my frown. I'm going to put my needle up through that and pull through. And as I said, you can leave this loose, because do you see how my stitches between the seam are very loose here? So now I'm going to go over to the right side again, and I'm going to look for another frown. And so here's a frown and a smile. Here's the frown on the edge. I'll put it through that frown and pull through. And I'm going to do a little twist at that point and hold on to it so the twist doesn't leave. I'm kind of holding on to it with the finger up here. Then I'm going to come over to the left-hand side. Here's a smile, here's a frown. This is the frown I want to go up into. There we go. And I need to make sure my yarn pulls through. That's my tail. I gotta get my tail out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to come over to the right-hand side again, and this is a frown, this is a smile, and this is a frown on my edge. I'm going to come up through and twist a bit. I'm going to come over to the other side, and this is a smile, and here's my frown. I'm going to come up into that and pull through. Then over here I've got a smile and I've got my frown. I'm going to pull up there, make my tail a little shorter, twist a little bit while I go. I am at my marker now. Since I'm now at my marker, what I'm going to do, and I've done about 5 stitches, I'm going to hold the tail of my yarn and I'm going to twist again, and this is only if you're using the dapple, not if you're using the sock yarn. Twist this end, and I am going to pull both ends of the yarn to bring that seam tight. And see how pretty that is? It's almost an invisible seam there. So now I'm going to move this second marker, and I'm going to continue seaming as I have all along here. So I just came up on the right hand side, so now I'm going to come over to the left hand side, and you can see I have a smile and a frown, and this is the frown I'm going to pick up. I'm going to pull my needle through, and I'm going to leave it loose between the two sides. I'm going to come over to the right hand side, and I have a smile, and I'm going to pick up this frown. Come over to this side, and I have a smile, and I'll pick up this frown. And one tip I want to give you too is I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to pick up this frown, but make sure that your yarn is actually over your needle down here, not under it. If you went and pulled this through, then you would be, I'll show you what happens, is you actually get kind of a knot here. You see how there's kind of a knot here with the yarn coming around like that. You don't want to do that. So make sure that your needle is actually coming under that yarn. So I'll show you here, when you come over here, there's a smile and a frown. Do you see how all my yarn is out of the way over here? It's not over the top of the needle. Then come over to the right, and you've got a smile and a frown. And you can continue to twist the yarn some if you want. If you're using the dapple, smile and frown. Smile and frown. I'm going to do one more on this side, and I'm going to come into actually part of the cast on this side. Okay, then I'm going to hold the bottom of these stitches. I'm going to twist. Whoops, I twisted the wrong way. Make sure you twist with the yarn twist to make it stronger. I'm going to hold down here, and I'm going to pull this seam tight. So here's my seam. Isn't that pretty? Now one more thing that I have to do is I want to end with a figure 8 knot. So I'm going to come over to the right hand, or take out my marker. I'm going to come over to the right side and come up from the bottom of the bind off, or the edge. And then on the left, I'm going to come up from the bottom of the left edge. And then I'm going to come up under the bottom of the right edge where I came up before. And then I am going to pull that figure 8 knot tight. Oops. There we go. Sometimes you have to work with this a little bit, you know. And there you go. And then I'm going to cut the yarn and weave in the end. There we go. And that's the end of the right neckband and the left band being joined together. If you look at the back, this is what the back looks like. That's why you wanted to do this from the front, because the pretty side is the front. And so the next video I'm going to do is going to be for joining this neckband to the back of the sweater right here. So please join me for that. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.